Recently, Jimmy Dore was doing a segment on Amazon's new employee wristbands, and he asked a question that I often hear.
Jeff Bezos is worth over $100 billion. How much money do you need? How much more money do you need to streamline?
Listen to the anger in his voice.
How much money do you need? How much money do you need? How much money do you need?
He is so pissed off that Jeff Bezos is worth over $100 billion. I've said it many times and I'll say it again. People like Jimmy Dore are not motivated by progress or compassion. Jimmy Dore is motivated by envy. Otherwise, Jimmy Dore would be applauding Jeff Bezos for all of his great achievements, along with his charitable contributions, which are often mocked for not being enough. First off, I know this probably does not need explaining, but Jeff Bezos is worth $100 billion. It does not necessarily mean that he has $100 billion because most of that $100 billion is based on the roughly 80 million Amazon shares that Jeff Bezos owns, which are worth about $1,300 a piece. Why? Because Jeff Bezos keeps making Amazon more valuable. If Jeff Bezos gifted his Amazon shares to charity and then hung himself, the value of those shares would likely fall off a cliff. In other words, money is more valuable when it's in Jeff Bezos' hands. But that aside, how much money do you need? Fuck you! That's how much money I need, Jimmy Dore. By the way, does Jimmy Dore play this game with other resources besides money? Does Jimmy Dore seek out fat people at the buffet who are going for their third and fourth helpings? Does Jimmy Dore smack forks out of their hands and ask, "How much food do you need?" Or does Jimmy Dore go to a club on a Friday night, find someone who's on their fifth or sixth drink, smack the drink out of their hand and say, "How much do you need?" Or what about when you're playing an RPG, a video game, where you're building up resources and you're saving money to buy more weapons and armor and shit? Does Jimmy Dore come up on the screen and ask, "How much money do you need?" Would it make Jimmy Dore happy if Jeff Bezos just gave most of his wealth away and stopped creating and producing? If Jeff Bezos kept just enough to survive off of, just so that there would be one less wealthy person to make Jimmy Dore feel bad about himself? What's the purpose of life after all? Is the purpose of life just to get by on the bare minimum? Is life just about the bare necessities?
Bare necessities are Mother Nature's recipe.
Fuck that, I'm not a dumb bear like Baloo. Why own a house if everyone can just get by living in a studio apartment? Why stress out about fashion when everyone can just get by off cheap t-shirts and jeans and sweaters? What about all these YouTube gamers with their large video game libraries? How many video games do you need? Kyle Kalinske asked a similar question recently in a Twitter poll. If there should be a limit on how much money you're allowed to have. This idea is anti-American. You're essentially giving up on the Enlightenment idea that individuals have a right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Apparently, there's a limit to that. Apparently, these know-it-all intellectuals and pundits think that they have determined what's the right amount to be happy. And if you make yourself too happy, well, then the government needs to come in and take your happiness away. And going back to what I said about Bezos earlier, I would rather Jeff Bezos be in control of billions of dollars than some government bureaucrat. Politicians need to pull out the government's gun in order to get their money. With few exceptions, politicians don't know how to produce jack shit. Otherwise, they'd crush it on the free market. I wonder how much Jimmy Dore makes, by the way. I'm sure it's in the six figures at least. How much money do you need, Jimmy? I'm sure you could survive off of less. How much money do you need? That's up for an individual to decide. Some people are happy living minimalist lifestyles. Others like to be in control of large amounts of wealth. Whatever makes you happy. Really, you should only be focused on how much money you have. Any time or thought you give to how much money other people have is time you could be spending focusing on making more money for yourself.